They would just be like, you're getting paid this much to play video games? And yes, play video games. They still thought that I played video games. That's how much they didn't know about what I was doing. I'm Matthew Wong Stewart. I'm most commonly known as Fish from my Wild Banana days, as well as from shoutcasting League of Legends. I currently work for Riot Games as a channel strategist for esports in APAC. This includes making sure that the Twitter strategy for the Valorant Pacific League are all taken care of, and the day-to-day operations of how the social media channels are taken care of. If we're writing an article to announce ticket sales for the VCS in Vietnam, I'd be crafting that article and working with a team to make sure it gets published in the right places. I've been a huge fan of video games my entire life. I've played since I was 3 or 4 years old. There's pictures of me sitting in my uncle's lap playing the Game Boy when I was really young. And I played League of Legends semi-professionally. I was never really a great player, but I was good enough to go for some tournaments, come second or third in a few of them, and play internationally as well. When I was eliminated from one of the tournaments in Singapore, the staff that were working on the league that I happened to know from playing video games asked if I would like to come and try out and see if I was a good fit to be a commentator for the league. So I went for it. I was horrible, but they kept calling me back and I got better and better and eventually became a full-time shoutcaster.
We have to talk about Mega because that was a complete dismantling of Axis Empire in the grand finals. 3 sets and looked like they barely even broke a sweat.
I was studying in Singapore Polytechnic to become an architect. I ended up working in the architectural industry for about 6 months after I graduated. And I hated it. I never wanted to do it again. I really enjoyed studying architecture. It was such a fun subject to study, but working as an architect, that's not fun. When I told my dad that I am going to quit my job, I'm not going to university, and I'm gonna go work in this thing called esports full-time, probably a week later, I was out renting a room from somebody that I barely knew because I couldn't find anywhere else to stay. My extended family back home in Australia was fairly supportive. My mom was fairly supportive of things, but they just didn't understand. They all felt like this is going to be something that I'll do for a year, maybe 2, as like a gap year before going back to university. And they never really saw it as this is what I was going to be doing full time, or this is what I was going to be doing forever. And I think that was kind of the reaction into kicking me out, trying to give me that wake up call, hey, you got to go back to work. Beyond the personal difficulties of getting kicked out of home and having to start in this industry fresh, the difficulties I found were I wasn't trained for anything. I didn't have any other training for what you need to do in esports. So it wasn't like there was anything that was a good fit for me. I had to really learn on the job as I went. Like the producer said when I first tried out to be a commentator, I was horrible. They didn't think that I had what it took to become that international commentator. So I was always finding ways to improve, always finding ways to collaborate with other commentators internationally to learn more about how they got to where they are. And not just the hard skills of talking really good, but also the soft skills of how do you negotiate contracts? How do you network enough to make sure that you're seen internationally so that producers can find you or know where to find you? I think an achievement that meant a lot to me personally was the mid-season invitational as a shoutcaster. Flew all the way to Los Angeles to work on the event. I got to work on the World Championship in 2017 for League of Legends. Having worked in those events and working back at it, I'm really happy I put in that time and that effort to improve on my craft to get to where I was. And also very lucky that I had the network to support me and the mentors and colleagues that I worked with throughout the years to level up to that ability where I could work on these events. And I always told my wife, the day that I wake up to go and cast a game where I'm not excited about it anymore is the day I should look towards retiring from commentary. And I think there was just a day in December of 2019 where I just woke up and like, I'm not looking forward to commentating today. I don't find this fun right now. And I was like, well, that's the feeling. I said that if I have that feeling, I'll look towards retiring. Luckily, while I worked in Hyperplay in 2018 in Singapore, I met the Singapore Riot Games office, because I was still working for the Shanghai Riot Games office at the time. Contacted them and to see if there were any positions opening in the office in Singapore that I could potentially apply for. And luckily enough, there was. And I applied for the position, got the job, and moved back to Singapore. I've been working for Riot Games for the past 4 years now. When I started working for Riot Games and I brought home a very decent paycheck and I started getting paid for a lot of international gigs and I could actually talk to my parents about it. And when they asked, oh, how much are you getting paid to do these things? And I would tell them, the reaction wouldn't just be, oh, okay, cool. It would be shock. They would just be like, you're getting paid this much to play video games? And yes, play video games. They still thought that I played video games. That's how much they didn't know about what I was doing. I think that was the turning point where they saw, oh, you could actually do this full time. There is a career doing this and you're getting paid to do this. So no sugarcoating it. It was when money started to come in that they kind of changed their opinions a bit more. Day in my life now is boring. I wake up, have my breakfast, I go to the office, I do office work and I go home. It's not as exciting as it used to be when I was a commentator. I love the work that I do. It is a lot of fun. I love the people I work with. I love being able to travel. And I love being able to own that aspect of running a strategy for something. It's something I really enjoy doing. I'm pretty much retired from commentary. I don't work on esports besides running channel strategy for Riot Games anymore. But one thing I do now is I still work with any talent that wants to become a commentator or is a commentator and wants to improve. If they drop me a message and say, hey, can I schedule some time with you to do a one-on-one or do some practice? My DMs on social media platforms are always open. And I've been very fortunate to work with some great commentators over the last 2 years that went from being amateur to now working on professional scenes. And I still love to work with and grow commentators and try and give back the things that I learned over the past 12 years to those commentators. There's always that thing in the back of my mind, which is, what if I try one more time? What if I just give it one more shot? Where do I think I can end up going? So I think I am looking to see if there are ways for me to go and explore that hobby and passion I used to have, commentary, and see if there's a way for me to get back into it. But besides the regret of retiring, I don't regret anything else. It got me to where I am today.